Hello, everyone. So we are here today to talk about electronic payments, ways that you can efficiently issue and collect payments on your business account. We are here in the Niantic office this morning. So my name is Kelly Meekum. I am the Digital Banking Operations Manager.
Alexis Khan, Manager of the Cash Management Sales Team.
Sherry Audette with Heartland Payment Systems. I'm the Merchant Service Officer for Chelsea Groton Bank.
So today we're going to talk about how you can maximize your cash flow with electronic payments. So you can see here on the icon on the right that this is a cash flow cycle. So there's a lot of different ways that you can collect payments and issue payments out of your business checking account. If you can do so efficiently, it will help manage and allocate more efficiently as well. Treasury management solutions that we're going to talk about today really are designed to help businesses improve the security of the payments and control the timing of collections and disbursements into and out of your account. So we're first going to focus on issuing payments. So we're going to talk about all of the different ways that you can issue payments out of your account and some of the pros and cons of each of these. So we're first going to start with checks. So checks are the most basic way to issue payments out of your account. Each business would have a checkbook that's managed by the business. The upside is that there's a good audit trail of items clearing the account. An authorized signer will authorize any payments before they clear the account. Checks are a high fraud risk because there is a greater risk that things will get lost or stolen. We have seen quite a bit of theft out of post boxes and things like that. So it does come with quite a bit of risk. There's also a risk of counterfeit checks being made against the account. From a cash flow perspective, it is the least desirable because the payee controls when the item clears the account. So once that person has possession of the check, they can cash it at any time. They can hang on to it, which could make for an account reconciliation challenge if they hang on to it for a long period of time. Next up, we're going to talk about online bill pay. So this is a feature within our online banking system that allows you to pay bills to national merchants electronically. So if you have a credit card payment, a utility bill, anything like that will generally go electronically out of your account to pay that bill. If it's maybe not a national merchant, the bill pay system will cut a check against the business checking account. Access to this is managed by user entitlement, that the administrator would give access to an authorized person in online banking to be able to make payments out of online banking. And e-bills are available. If an eligible merchant is signed up with bill pay, what will happen is you'll get an alert when your bill is due, so that way you potentially won't be late on any payments. So we're going to shift gears and talk a little bit about debit cards. So debit cards are quite a bit more safe than carrying cash, and they are more widely accepted than checks. Business debit cards really have a large opportunity for how you can use them. You can use them in person or online. You can buy supplies, pay for services, any kind of recurring expenses. If you have any kind of recurring payment that you need to make, this is a great opportunity for a business debit card. You can even give your employees debit cards, and you can control what they do with that debit card once it's in their possession. So that's another nice feature. They don't necessarily have to be a signer on the account. Once you have a business debit card, you can link it to your Apple Pay, Google Pay, or Samsung Pay and use it just like you would your debit card. You have all the same perks, but it is more secure, and it is very convenient that it is just linked to your smartphone. Smart Cards is a great way to manage your debit cards. So that way that if you have a debit card, if you've given any of your employees debit cards, you can restrict what they can do with their debit card. You can limit certain transaction types, certain merchant types, set limits, and get alerts based on rules that you set. So that way you are aware of what's going on with your debit cards, and you can mitigate fraud. I'm going to turn it over to Alexis.
Thanks, Kelly. So the next few things that we're going to talk about are not automatically available to business customers in online banking. So I just wanted to set the stage indicating that this is something that you would need to communicate either to your branch representative or contact somebody in the cash management sales team in order to indicate that you would like to learn more about this, this product. So I just wanted to set the stage because you might be looking for it in your online banking and it will not be available unless it's enabled on our end. So these are all considered more of the commercial type products and services that really enhance your capabilities from a payment and collection standpoint. So there's sort of that supercharged capabilities that you have available to you as a business, if this is something that interests you. So we'll start with ACH origination. So what this allows you to do is push payments out directly to any account, whether that's business or personal, in the domestic US. So as long as the account is within the United States, you can push out this payment electronically to their account. It's all available within online banking, so it's not something that you need a separate platform for. We would just enable it within your online banking profile. And it's very seamless. The only thing that you need to have is the account information for whom you're paying. So obviously, instead of issuing a check with your account information, you're pushing out the payment using the account details of the person or the business that you're paying. And the nice feature about ACH origination is really the control around it. So you have a lot of flexibility and customization in terms of whom on your team you can enable to push out a payment, and the authority to enable that payment to go out. So for example, you could have somebody on your staff who is your accounts payable person set up all the batch of payments that you need to make electronically. But if you don't want that person to have the authority to push out that payment, you can set yourself to be the approver. So there's a lot of, again, tight controls that also are kind of preventing, mitigating fraud, because you are having the control over the account information that you're paying, as well as who's able to push out that payment. And so I sort of alluded to some of these points, but the fraud component of this is very strong. Again, your account information is not out there. You're pushing it directly to the account that you have their information. And also the ability to really, kind of control who's able to push out that payment from your system. But also from a cost perspective and a timing perspective, if you think about, first of all, how much time your team or yourself can take on a monthly basis, figuring out from a reconciliation standpoint what checks are still outstanding, what hasn't cleared the account, trying to figure out, cash flow and predicting that out when you have checks that are floating around that haven't been deposited. This is a sure thing, because once you push out the payment, it arrives in the account of your recipient on a very timely basis, and it's arrived, and that's that. You don't have anything outstanding. The other thing is, when you think about postage and the process of issuing a check, cutting a check, from your whether it's your accounting software, you're manually doing that. That's a lot of paperwork. That's a lot of check stock. That's postage, envelopes, all of that. This is all electronic, so it's minimizing all of those more hard costs that are associated with issuing checks. The other thing I'll just mention as an aside, for those businesses who are looking to process payroll in-house, maybe your accounting software has the feature where it can calculate payroll and all the taxes and such. This will enable you to be able to actually physically push those payments out to your employees. So there is that capability as well. While it's not a full payroll service by any means, it does have that feature to be able to enable payroll. And ACH origination, I would say in today's day and age, is becoming more and more popular as you think about all the different electronic payment methods that we're accustomed to as a personal customer. ACH origination, I would say, is really that capability for a business to be able to accomplish a lot of the easy electronic payment type, behavior that we've become accustomed to as personal individuals. By contrast, online wire origination is another feature similar to ACH origination, but it looks very similar if you're the user, from a business customer standpoint, in that it's also a module within online banking that would be enabled in order for you to push out wire transfers directly from online banking. It has a lot of the same features that I mentioned for ACH origination, with the dual controls and all of that ability to kind of customize your entitlements to be able who can push out that wire transfer. Wires obviously are, as hopefully you've heard us say, if you've ever had to do a wire transfer, very fraught with peril from a risk perspective. So we ask, because this is given to you to be able to push out wires, we just really want everybody to understand the inherent risks associated with sending out a wire transfer, verbally verifying wiring instructions before you send out a wire, all of that kind of thing, because you don't have us necessarily, sitting with you when you are pushing out a wire transfer from the bank, asking all those questions. This is really up to you. And I will say, ACH origination requires the same degree of due diligence on your vendor payments as well. Wires are just, kind of a slightly higher risk category. And this is really for those types of businesses that have to conduct wire transfers on a frequent basis. If you're doing, a few wire transfers a year, this might not be applicable for you to have this monthly service set up in place. But for particular businesses, notably, attorneys' offices, for example, doing real estate closings. This is a fabulous feature for them to use because you're not having to go to the branch for every single wire transfer related to a real estate transaction. Also, businesses that are dealing a lot with international purchases. Obviously, checks and ACHs don't work in those categories. So this is something that if you're buying something internationally, you can use on the account. It does enable international wire transfers also in foreign currency. So there's that capability there. It is a faster payment mechanism. So if you're needing to make payments for whatever your agreements are with your vendors that need to be, you get the invoice and you push it out that same day, this would be something that you might want to consider. But otherwise, ACH origination is going to be probably a more cost-effective as well as kind of a more day-to-day capability as opposed to wires. Wires are a little bit more of that special situation that you really need to push them out of your account on a frequent basis. So next, we're going to talk about positive pay. Now, positive pay is not a mechanism by which to send an electronic payment. So I just wanted to clarify that it's not the actual pushing out of the payment itself to the same extent that ACH origination and online wire origination were. But we wanted to talk about it here because it's we've been talking a lot about securing your account and how to kind of have better control over fraud risks and that type of thing. And positive pay is really where this comes in. And while I'm not going to go into a lot of detail in this because we have, it's a good preview for some other fraud-related events that we're doing and information sessions on more strictly fraud and positive pay. What I will say is that basically it controls the payments that are coming out of your account so that you are really vetting them to make sure that they are authorized to come out of your account. And if they aren't, you have the ability to block them before they're paid. So there's a check feature and an ACH feature to this positive pay platform. And so from an electronic standpoint, I'll highlight the ACH block and filter feature, which is enabling you to whitelist any ACHs that are coming out of your account so that only those authorized vendors are able to pull payments electronically from your account, and anything that you don't have whitelisted or you haven't authorized specifically through the positive pay system will not be able to ultimately debit your account. If it was fraudulent or unauthorized, you have that additional tighter control over those electronic debits that come out automatically from your account. So we would definitely advise you to, find out more and if this is something that interests you. We see so much fraud that I would say it's definitely worth a conversation with your branch and or with the cash management sales team. Oh, that's a good segue into our promoting our event on May 30th at 5:30 p.m. at Philomena's. For those of you who haven't been to Philomena's, it's a great food and fun place. And really what we're going to be, it's a casual environment. We're just doing some networking for business customers, for anybody who kind of wants to mix and mingle. It will be a fun time, but really what we're trying to do is talk about some of the fraud and cyber schemes that our security team is seeing out there on a very frequent day-to-day basis, to make you all aware of what we're seeing and potentially, give you the tools to consider, all right, I'm going to look out for this particularly, and make sure that you're able to safeguard your account, and then also to talk more about this positive pay service. So come check it out if you're available on May 30th at 5:30 p.m. It's in Waterford. Okay, so that was really all about pushing out payments, anything coming out of your account. But certainly there's electronic means to collect payments as well. So now we're going to talk about sort of that side of things. Okay, ACH origination again. So you might say, why is it here? That same service that we mentioned, which enables you to push out payments electronically from your account, also, if enabled, and if you have the necessity to do so, will allow you to pull payments in from another account. So to be fully, transparent, this is not something that we see as often as needed to push out payments electronically. So this is a little bit fewer and far between, but it's a wonderful tool for those who need it. And this really comes into play. It works exactly the same in terms of, again, the ability to set up dual control, the way that it's embedded within online banking. You set up batches of, who the accounts that you need to debit, and just, at the click of a button, basically pull in those payments. But what you need very explicitly is authorization and the account information of those that you're, trying to pull in payments from, because obviously you can't just pull in payments without their authorization. So you really need to have, documentation in place accordingly to say that you're allowed to pull in payments from their account. But it's really a great tool for, let's say, a landlord who's looking to set up kind of that auto payment for their tenants, for example, that, their tenants say, just pull it out of my account every month. I don't want to have to deal with sending you a check. I don't want to worry about being late. And then they say, yeah, sure, go ahead. Just I authorize you to debit my account every month. And then, you're just pulling it directly out of their account. So it's great for that type of scenario. So certainly if that's something that you think could be more of interest to you, it's really streamlining that process. You don't have to hear that phrase, the check is in the mail, oh, you're going to get the payment soon. And, oh, I think it got lost in the mail, because you would really set the date and know that the payment would come in electronically at the set time that you've initiated it to come in. So the next things that we're going to talk about are a little bit sort of one step removed from, I would say, electronic payments, in that they're still dealing with paper checks. But the reason that we're highlighting them here is because they are an electronic means to process those checks. So instead of having to take them into a branch for deposit, you have different flexible means by which to convert those check images to digital electronic images that then we will credit to your account as if you brought it to the branch. So the first being remote deposit capture. That's a scanner that physically sits on your desk, plugs right into online banking, and you just scan checks through that scanner and it's applied to your account. That is also same day availability of funds from a timing perspective. Think about, if your branch is a little bit far away, or if you just are the type of person who, doesn't get around to depositing your checks until 8 o'clock at night and the branch is closed. This is a great way to be able to just do it all from your desktop, and avoiding those trips to the branch. This is really designed for higher volume check needs, because mobile check deposit is also available for business customers. And we have different tiers that I'll mention. If you, let's say, have ever used our mobile deposit app to process your deposits and you've kind of received one of those, you've reached your limit, you can always, there are different opportunities for other tiers that might be better suited to your deposit needs. So you can always contact us, and that's something that we can work with you to customize your right-sized deposit limits for mobile deposit. So I just wanted to mention, available to everybody by default, but for certain limits you might need to contact. And again, everybody's pretty familiar with mobile check deposit, but it's just another way to be able to do that without having to go to a branch. I would say it's designed to be for less high volume check deposit needs. If you have a bunch of checks, first of all, who wants to take a picture of front and back of, 40 checks, but also that would be something that remote deposit capture check scanner would be a better solution for. And now I'm going to turn it over to Sherry to talk about merchants credit card processing.
Good morning. A little bit about Heartland. Heartland has been opened their doors in 1997, and our goal was to provide fair and fully disclosed pricing and to advocate for our local businesses. I actually started with Heartland in November of 1998, so I've been here 26 years. And during that time, there's been lots of changes, and I'm proud to say that Heartland has been on the forefront of many of those changes. So what do we do? What do we offer? We offer payment acceptance anywhere, point of sale solutions, online payments, e-billing and invoicing, gift and loyalty programs, and customer convenience. So we have a plethora of ways that merchants can accept payments. Probably the most that everyone's familiar with is a standalone credit card terminal. So we have many of those. They have Wi-Fi terminals, cellular units that will help you able to be mobile, to pay at the table or take it out on the road. We also have the ability to use mobile pay, which is very simple. You just download an app on your phone. It has a card reader. You'll see it at farmers market, craft shows. But we actually have a software that we can download that's really good for the trades industry. So for electricians or plumbers, they can take that on the road. They can actually look at a job, create an invoice, and send an invoice, whether right there on out in the field. So that makes save some time, and they can get all of that done in one step. We also have, there's processing starts say, I want to start with a terminal, I want to grow to a point of sale system. We actually have a credit card terminal that's called Terminal Plus, and it's a credit card terminal, but it has some point of sale functionality. It can do things like keep track of inventory, now not hundreds of pieces of inventory, but small amounts of inventory. It has a built-in barcode scanner, and it also tracks and manages your sales tax. So for businesses that are starting out, they're not quite ready for a point of sale system, that's a great way to start. We actually also have a virtual terminal, which is we put an icon on your computer and you click on that and it opens up. It's more for a card not present environment, though we can attach a device to your computer to do card present, but it's mostly for card not present. This allows you to take a sale. You can write notations on it. It will email the receipt. So it's efficient in the way you don't have to later on go and get a stamp, go to the post office, mail the customer receipt. It does it all right there at the time of sale. You can also keep a database of your customers. So if you have repeat customers, you can keep a database, and if they pay with more than one card type, you can keep all of that information as well. And it's compliant. It doesn't stay on your server, it stays on Heartland's. So you meet all the compliance guidelines that it needs, and the cards are all truncated, so you don't have to worry about anybody getting in and accessing that card information there. It also has the ability, so let's say you have a large, the customer has a large bill, you can actually do a payment plan of that, and you can divide it up, even up for a year. Just those payments must be the same dollar amount. It can't be $100 one month and $500 the next month, but equal payments. That's a nice way of doing it, and you don't have to keep track of it. It does it on its own, which is very nice. We also, so for those merchants who, want more than a credit card terminal, we have point of sale systems that that Heartland sells, that we own and we sell. And they are for retail environments, they are for restaurants, liquor stores, and we also integrate with many, many, many other different types of point of sale systems, but we have a set of our own systems as well. And for e-commerce, we do online ordering, we do shopping carts, and we also have payment links. So if you wanted to send an invoice and say, click here to pay, that's a really fast way. Instead of, waiting for the money to come in, it's a much faster way to collect payments on there. So I want to shift gears just a little bit and talk about compliance, because every merchant should be, if you're taking credit cards already, should be filling out a questionnaire and more than likely setting up a system scan to make sure that your system is free from any malware. And if you're not doing that, you're probably getting a fee on your credit card statement now, because that's something that really must be done. Well, Heartland's terminals are a little bit different than everyone else's. We have 3 types of encryption in our credit card terminals. One is the EMV, which is the chip, right? Everyone's familiar with that. The little chip embedded in the card in there, and that when it's inserted, it transmits card data through the reader, and it makes it harder for criminals to access that information. Our second type of technology is end-to-end encryption, which removes the card data from the network so that doesn't get compromised. I'm sure you probably all remember a few years back when TJ Maxx and Hannaford got compromised. That's because they were getting the information from the merchant's network. And with our terminal, that's impossible to do. And the other one is tokenization, where the card data is removed and replaced with a token, and that makes it impossible for a cyber criminal to get that information. Because of those 3 technology, a system scan is not required. So that takes one piece of something that you have to remember to do all the time. And we are so convinced and sure that you're not going to get any compromise. We offer you $100,000 breach warranty insurance should anything be compromised from our terminals, but it hasn't happened yet in 26 years, so I'm pretty comfortable with that on there. So we're talking also about customer ease and what convenience that we can offer. So we have an online portal that our merchants can access, and that will give them access to their credit card statements, their batch information, their transactional information, reporting of all their devices. So if you had more than one, if you had e-commerce solution, a credit card terminal, a virtual terminal, you can see all of that information online. It's all done in real time, so you get real access immediately on there. I think the thing that I hear the most positive about is they like our dispute portal on there. A dispute is a customer that comes in, I didn't make that charge, or I was unhappy with the service. It's very time sensitive. You have 14 days from the day the complaint is made to respond. And most other credit card processors mail the dispute to the customer, and then you have less time to respond. But for ours, you get notified online, you can reply, and you can upload documents, which giving you a lot more time to resolve those issues on there. So what's different about us versus everyone else? Well, we have several things that I think is good. First of all, we have a 3-year rate guarantee. So the deal that we set, we keep that deal for the 3-year commitment. Our statements are very easy to understand, transparent pricing. All of the fees are on there, are right on the statement. So many times I see that there are all these fees, there's percentages, or there's no percentages, just money being taken out of your account. With our statements, you'll really understand all of your billing on there. Our customer service is second to none. And today, where everything is automated, I'm always hitting the 0. Every call is answered by a live person, and that person can handle all of your needs. You don't need to be transferred to another department. One exception is if it's due to the point of sale, it goes to the point of sale department. But if you have a question about funding, I don't understand my statement, I need to order paper, I'm having trouble with my terminal, that person will handle all of your needs. There's no need for you to be transferred to another department on there. Along with that is when you call in, the sales team will get notified when you call in. It'll tell you who called in from your company, who you spoke to at Heartland, what the issue was, and if it was resolved. So that gives me the opportunity to say, oh, they just ordered paper, they don't need me. oh, I see they're having trouble with their terminal, I'm not comfortable that it's been resolved, I can reach out to you. So even if I don't speak to you for several months, I always know what's going on in your business, and that's comforting to know that we're always aware of what's going on. I think one of the biggest things that's unique to Heartland is, and today with old software, everything becomes proprietary, and that really restricts businesses' choices to what they can do once they buy a point-of-sale system. With credit card terminals, it's a little bit harder because of the terminals are really proprietary to each processor, but that's a very minimal cost. And we're talking a point of sale, we're talking thousands of dollars. Heartland doesn't create a point of sale that's proprietary. We are credit card agnostic. We don't care what processor you use. We want you to keep your banking relationship. We don't make you move your bank account, and we give you choices. Because once you buy a point of sale system and you're locked in, you now have lost your choice to change if you're unhappy with the service or if you're unhappy with the pricing. But with Heartland, you have choices, and that's unique in today's, everything's proprietary. And the last thing you want to have to do is, I get a point of sale system, I determine that the service isn't very good. In order to change, I have to buy a whole new point of sale. It's very costly, and that's something that we don't do. So when it comes to pricing, I know merchants are always more concerned, what's my rate? But there's so much that goes into pricing a credit card merchant, and it's the only part of banking that's not regulated. We take this very seriously. Our programs are designed specifically for each business and each business type. And we set up a time and to go over how you're going to take the sale. What is your customer? What's the average ticket? We want to set up fraud parameters. We want to make sure that we have the max, high ticket, so that we can, how many returns you're going to do. So we can set fraud parameters in there in case, there could be some employee theft. There's a lot that goes into the credit card processing in there. So it's all based on that and volume and average ticket. So we customize it for each and every merchant. Now, for those businesses who are new and are just starting, or they're seasonal and their volume isn't quite up there yet, we have a program. So for merchants who are to process $50,000 and less annually, we have a program that is specific for Chelsea Groton Bank customers. This program consists of a flat rate. It's 2.69 and 10 cents, and there's no monthly fee. It's really a great program for you. So if you don't run any sales, you don't incur any fees, nothing to pay. If you run a sale, your rate is 2.69 and 10 cents. And this is, very similar. Oh, people always say, oh, have you heard of Square? Yes, it's very similar to Square, but with Square, all the support is online. So with Chelsea Groton's program, you get a live person that can come out, can show you how to work the terminal, can answer any of your questions, can help you with the boarding process. And it's a very good program. This program affords the smaller businesses a robust processing solution at a very affordable cost. So there's a lot of information here. So if you want to hear more, you can reach out to the bank, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Sherry, and thank you, Alexa. So, yes, like Sherry said, it is a lot of information. So you have some numbers here as to how you can get in contact with us if you have any questions, as well as a link to our website that explains all of these services in more detail. So if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us here. Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you.